the government sometimes doesn't get it. Least in situations like that, and oh gosh, if I slip on one of these, will I lose that guarantee? And that always comes across the lender's mind, and it would mine too. And we haven't, I don't think we've done one yet in this state, and in fact around the country, many of them done, but maybe like the Ark, once a couple, two or three put their toe in the water, we'll see a better result on that. Let's come down the line. So, product out there. Now, a lot of people say, gee, does the SBA have any money to lend? Well, remember what I told you. Yeah, we've got money to lend, but remember, now, things by law that we can, and I'll tell you, it's not very many. That is, with nonprofit. Now, that's not to say that some of our loans don't turn up that way, but they can't start that way. All right? Cannot do nonprofits. Now, and another thing, how many of you have seen this little man on TV selling a book called Money, Money, Money or something like that, that you can get all these grants from the government? Folks, let me just demystify all that. Ain't no such thing. If he's selling the book. Oh, and by the way, he's got 3 class action lawsuits against him. Busy for a while. All this gentleman did was go around to all the government websites, copied them, and sold them to you for $50, $60 when you could get it for free. But where he made his error, these grants and free things you could do on there because they are not out there. They aren't. Now, if you're a nonprofit, there are some grants out there for you, and I can tell you the site to go to. It's grants.gov. ts.gov, of course. And that will show you what is available. So you've got to be a nonprofit, and generally they're going to organizations, like schools, colleges, things like that, to help them, teach, train, this type of thing. But we do not have grants. We'll put that out. We cannot do religious type scenarios like religious bookstores. That's a matter of religions out there right now. Congress just said we're hands off on that. However, if you want to open up, you can. Well, you've been to Barnes & Noble. They have a whole section on that, on religious type. The idea is that you have a mix. You have everything that you can buy in there. It's not aimed at one particular scenario. So that's the reason between the two. We call type businesses. Now I know, what isn't speculative today? True. I know some of you, probably the best example I can do. I'd managed at one time our Tucson, Arizona office. Well, in come one day this gentleman, and I'll tell you what, if you'd look up the word prospector in Webster's dictionary, his picture would have been right there. I mean, you could almost see the dust cloud coming off of him. The big old hat, beard down about here. He had this old plot plan underneath his arm, and I don't think this gentleman had a bath in 6 months. So he comes in, and he rolls his big map desk, and he says, I need $750,000 to mine copper. He just inherited, I think, which are foothills. But then I started asking him a few things. I said, well, okay, so far so good. I said, do you have something in all this paperwork here that you can show me that you've had some kind of a geological survey that shows that there's gold in them there hills? Of course, things like this, and his eyes glassed over. He actually didn't even know what about. Here's a guy one is, how do you know this? That's speculative. Hell's going to welcome you. Well, rich, I do, but I don't think he got any local bank money on that because he sure didn't get it. He just didn't do his due diligence. We fund real estate for speculation. In other words, you want to buy it, rent it out, or buy it, hope the value goes up, and sell it for a profit. We cannot do that. We do real estate financing. It must be owner, user, occupied. You have to be in it and use it. Now there's some caveats there. If you are looking at an and you occupy % of the total square footage, you would be allowed 49 or less %, so long as within the next 3 years be an all one. All right. If you want to go more stringent, we want you to occupy close to 70%. I said, hey, you're looking down the line, you're going to expand, so don't keep it as dead space, rent it out for a period of time, but we're not in the business of. That's about it that we cannot do. Outside of that you think might be close or in a gray area, I tell people and lenders as well, I don't think I haven't seen. And generally, if it's something that even I can't really go into my SOPs and figure out a few things, then what I'll do is ask you to give me a Reader's Digest version of what you want to do, and I'll send it to our attorney down in our Charlotte district office, and she makes the final decision. In a lot of cases, they'll this and this, back to you. Do this, we can do it. So at least we're going to give you every option. Another thing that we help with, we call it, and I think you heard me talk a little bit about it with the women, are bonding and government contracting. Folks, the federal there are these contracts. If you're in certain areas of ownership, and I mentioned them, if you're woman-owned, veteran-owned, or minority-owned business, there's a lot out there for you. And this is where SBA can help and come in and help you to certify yourself and go from there and possibly get a part of these contracts. I can tell you a scenario, again, I go back to Southern where it was a minority-owned contracting service. It's called Maya Construction, and at the time there was an awful lot of digging and construction up around the Grand Canyon area. Well, they became certified, graduated, I think it was in year number 8. I think you've got 8 years to stay in the program. Eventually, they had 2 kids, and both those kids were able to go to Ivy League schools. I mean, there was enough, they kept that particular family-owned business going 24/7. But they would have never gotten there if they didn't know about these contracts, the situation. So in this area, go down and talk to the Women's Business Center. Any one of you in here that you think, it's well worth it, believe me. So we do work with that. We also have contractors. We also have what's called a surety bond guarantee, very similar to our loans, in which we guarantee the surety company on the completion of a contract. So in a lot of cases with these big contracts, you have to pay, and some companies can't get it or afford it. Well, we come into play like we do with the loan, and we guarantee that that bond will be met, type of thing as well. So again, that now, as far as do we have any new startups in here? I don't want to go over something that we're just not there. We're all in business, right? Okay.
I'm looking to get into. I've been in business.
Okay, well, I'll brush on this because my guess is since you've been in business, you know the drill. But as a new business entrepreneur, I'm sure he knows some of the hurdles he's going to have to get into if he's looking to borrow money. But when an individual like this gentleman comes to me, okay, what does a bank want? Well, naturally, there's that business plan name again. And again, you can do it yourself, you can have our partners do it, whatever, But just know the idea is that